Dr. Henry Maicki devoted his career to serving others, beginning as an obstetrician and later as a hospice physician, while also dedicating over 2 decades of his life to humanitarian missions in Zambia, Africa. With me on the Splash Live to talk a little bit more about his career is Dr. Henry Maicki's son and wife, Rick and Marlenn Maicki. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
We appreciate that. So I definitely want to dive a little bit more into Dr. Henry's life a little bit more. Starting with you, Marlenn, Mrs. Maicki, if you don't mind, just tell us what inspired Henry to begin his humanitarian work in Zambia?
Actually, he went on several other missions around that time, around 2001. He went to Guatemala and the Dominican Republic and Zambia. And he realized that he couldn't continue to go to all of those. He chose Zambia because, number one, it was a Christian nation, but also because the people there were so poor and they had just gone through a terrible HIV epidemic and many, many people were orphaned.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he's well-traveled and like you said, has done a lot of great work internationally, and we love to hear that. Moving to you, Rick, from your knowledge, what are some of the roles that Dr. Henry has taken on during his medical missions in Africa and other places?
Yeah, no, as Mom said, I mean, he chose Zambia because of the intense need. And initially, the group would go out and they would run these medical clinics. They'd go out into the bush and they'd set up basically a medical MASH camp. And they'd have hundreds of patients come from miles around, and they'd serve their needs, really checking in on their health. Doing wound care, testing for HIV, for pregnancy, for TB, for malaria. His roles there were initially just as a physician, but that only lasted about 1 year, and then he became the medical director. And there's a lot that goes into planning those missions to understand exactly, what medications you might need, how to set up the clinic where you're literally seeing, 500 to 600 patients in a day that you haven't seen before. So how do you, how do you triage them? How do you send them to the right doctors? How do you provide the right medication? So kind of organizing it, but then really being there on the ground and interfacing with them directly to serve their needs and understand what health and emotional and family issues that they have.
Sounds like passion as well. Love to see that as well. And not too many people have the ability to fly over to another country, continent, and help those in need. But with him having the resource and the ability to do so and actually doing it just speaks volumes as well. Continuing with you, Mr. Maicki, how has Henry, your father, contributed to disease prevention and treatment during the Orphan Medical Network International's trips overseas?
Yeah, so the Orphan Medical International, they've gone, for about 25, 30 years now, they've gone on numerous missions. They have these medical clinics that they run. They've also been able to establish a school, so they now have a school with over 350 students that attend the school. But really, if you think about disease prevention and treatment, part of it was bringing the medical care into the communities that didn't have medical care, bringing the medications, the equipment. As part of that, they also were very instrumental in education, so helping the local communities understand what causes some of these diseases and how to prevent the diseases. In some cases, they'd go into communities and there was no fresh water, and that was a major source of disease. So they would raise funds and they'd create a well for them to have water and sanitation.
Nice.
They'd create education programs. So it's been pretty immense in terms of the impact he's had. They've also been able to, from their missions, the Zambia government has now implemented a process where they have medical professionals that are in the local communities to continue the care even when the mission trips are not there. So a lasting impact.
Yeah, and it's not, I love that you explain that too, because it's not just about going there and giving them initial care. That care needs to be maintained. It needs to be sustainable. So to make sure that there's resources available there as well, just continuously speaks to the work that's going on out there. With me right here on the Splash Live, by the way, Dr. Henry Maicki, a local humanitarian being recognized at the Michigan Week Awards breakfast. We have his son, Rick Maicki, and his wife, Marlenn Maicki, talking about his career, his overall experience, and the work that he's doing internationally as well. Moving to you, Marlenn, if just from, according to you and some of the people that Dr. Henry Maicki has worked with, what qualities do you believe make him a true humanitarian?
Well, he's definitely the most caring and compassionate person you would ever want to meet. He also listens to his patients and listens to his heart. He's a very spiritual man, but he does more than that. If there's a problem, he works on a solution and he does something about it. He doesn't just say, well, there's a problem. He puts things into action.
Well, love to hear that. And how would you say his work in other places, other countries and continents exemplified a lifelong commitment to serving others?
Well, as with his patients, he is dedicated to service. And quite interestingly enough, his motto is blessed to be a blessing. And the Rotary motto is service above self, and that's exemplifying him totally. So with his patients, from the OB patients, for example, he noticed that there were some problems about birth. And a long time ago, all of a sudden there was an article in the newspaper that said fathers were going to be allowed in the delivery room. Well, this caused a lot of consternation amongst the doctors themselves. So he started investigating that and discovered that there were some things called birth centers, one in California, one in New York. So he went and looked at those. And from that, then he created a birthing center right here at Providence Hospital in Southfield. And he was able to then provide home births, but not at home, in a safe environment next to the hospital where they could have natural childbirth in a safe situation.
Great, great. Making a difference, like we said, locally and internationally. Great to see that. And it's a good thing that we are giving him the acknowledgement that he deserves right here in his local home as well. Now, Rick, going to you, you've been a part of Dr. Maicki's life and been a part of some of these missions from what I'm seeing. What have you witnessed from being a part of these missions alongside your father?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a great experience. I've had a chance to go on a few of the missions with him. Setting up these, number one, when you arrive in Zambia at the school that Omni's created, the Omni George School, we have it set up that every member of the team shakes hands with every one of the students. And you really get a chance to understand and see firsthand the lives that you're impacting of these 350 students. And then as you go out into the bush and we set up these medical mission tents, I mean, you literally get there at 7 o'clock in the morning, you set up a medical facility, set up all the processes, and you're seeing, 300 to 500 patients a day with just 2 or 3 docs. But what I saw the most was, my dad's enormous caring about the people, and not just from a health perspective, like what are their medical needs, but really what are their emotional, spiritual needs. So oftentimes in these settings, it's not just taking care of their medical needs, it's really learning about their family life, identifying families where there's maybe domestic violence, providing opportunities for them to get out of that situation, finding families that don't have enough money or food to feed their family, providing the food for them. So it really was much more beyond just being kind of, providing medical care. It was really a complete care, really about caring about the people themselves and what do they need.
That sets a great example too, obviously for people around him, but for people like yourself, his own kids. And that continues to pass on good traits and characteristics from generation to generation as well. So I want to applaud him and applaud you for actually being there too, because you could have been anywhere, done anything, but you decided to go along on that mission. So that's well said, well done. With me right here on the Splash Live, by the way, we have the family members of Dr. Henry Maicki, who will be honored at the Michigan Week Awards breakfast. We have his wife, Mrs. Maicki, and we also have his son, Rick Maicki, as well. Now, Mrs. Maicki, just asking you very, very briefly, I want to see from your experience and from what you know, how does Henry's work align with the values and mission of the Michigan Week celebration?
Well, he knows that he's just one of many people in our community that serve others, and he's very happy to be a part of that. And I think that even though he's a great example himself, he doesn't see that as being an example. He's happy to work with and alongside of other people who do service for others and make life better for different people. So he's happy to work day and night and long weekends and so on to make that happen.
Well said, well said. And lastly, with you, Rick, if you could speak for your father, how would you say it feels for him to be honored during this year's Michigan Week celebration right here in West Bloomfield?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the things that he did, he never did them to be honored. That was not the goal. It was really to serve the people. I think he feels very blessed to have been pulled into a number of different organizations where he can bring his, unique talents and skills and spiritual, blessings that he has. And really, he feels very fortunate that he's had those opportunities to serve others and to work alongside great teams who are also very passionate, caring people who have really made a difference in the world. And I think he would say, look, he would really look to inspire others that you can make a difference and get involved, find something you're passionate about and get involved in that, because you can have a significant impact on people's lives locally and globally. And I think that really he's probably most honored to be helping to and hopefully inspire others to take up the service call.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to being there and seeing him and meeting him in person and just being inspired by his message as well. I want to thank both of you again for your time and for sharing that information, and congratulations to you and your family for the success. Once again, family members for Dr. Henry Maicki, who will be acknowledged at the Michigan Week Awards breakfast this week, we have Rick Maicki and Marlenn Maicki. Thank you both for your time.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much for having us.